When America's second mission to put men on the moon, Apollo 12, launched in November of 1969, the three astronauts on board had the world by the tail. Not only were Charles Pete Conrad, Richard Gordon, and Alan Bean American heroes during the glory days of American space travel, but they had it pretty good back on Earth. Each of them drove a brand new Corvette to work at NASA, and it cost them next to nothing.
Jim Rathman won the Indianapolis 500 in 1960, and he ended up with I'm sure that they worked with him to give him a Chevrolet dealership in Melbourne, Florida. And so Ed Cole and Jim Rathman got together and they said, let's have this special lease program. And this was in the late 60s. He said, we'll give any astronaut a car for $1 a year, and then they turn it back in. And it'll just be a courtesy lease program, and then they'll resell the car.
If it sounds like Danny Reed knows a bit about the U.S. space program, he does. He also knows about Corvettes. His collection in Central Texas is not very big, only 3 cars. But the significance of his collection is huge.
The 62 I bought, I guess around 2004, 2005. And it was owned by a NASA engineer. And he had driven it his whole life, bought it in Fort Worth, and he planned to restore it when he retired, and he became ill and he died, and I bought it from the family and did a frame-off restoration on it. Took it all the way to the Duntov Award, which is the highest award that you can get, but it is always top flighted. First showing it did a 99.3. 64 Roadster, and I restored it before I restored my 62. I did a frame off on it. It's a 365 horse air-conditioned convertible, and it's kind of a rare car. They made 138 365 horse air cars, and it's another Duntov Award winner and scored a 99.6.
But if there's a star in this collection, it would be the 69 Coupe. It's a fairy tale story of 2 American icons, astronauts and Corvettes. In 1969, Life magazine did several cover stories on the space program. One of them was about the Astrovettes, as they came to be called. Danny Reed read the story.
And when I saw the car on the lot in 1971, I just immediately recognized it.
While driving through downtown Austin, Texas in 1971, Danny Reed's heart skipped a beat as he pulled up to a used car lot. This Corvette, exactly as it appears here, was sitting among all the other cars for sale.
I walked in, I said, what's the story on the car? And they said they didn't know. They were just selling it on closed bid. So I thought, well, I'm not going to talk any more about it. I'm just going to put in a bid.
Wholesale on a typical 69 Corvette then was about $3,200. Danny Reed submitted a bid of $3,230.
And they called me several weeks later and said, you didn't get it. So I went out and bought a race boat. And then they called me and said, do you want it? And you still want the car?
He had just spent his toy money on a boat, but he knew he couldn't pass up a chance to own this extremely unique Corvette. Yet one question came to mind.
How am I going to pay for it?
The top bidder, like Reed, had obviously known about the car. He had bid $13,000, almost $10,000 more than Reed. The bid behind Reed's, just $30 lower. But the top bidder couldn't come up with the cash. And after 43 years of Reed's ownership, the car would likely bring well into 7 figures if he sold it. But that's not in the cards, at least for now. The car had belonged to Alan Bean. He was 37 years old when he owned it and when he became the 4th man to walk on the moon. Alan Bean drove it to the Space Center every day while he was training for his walk on the moon. The car had 28,000 miles on it when Reed found it. Still largely original, it has only 34,000 now. And it's not always a trailer queen. Reed is generous in sharing it at local shows, at events at the Houston Space Center, and on other special occasions. And how did Reed know it had once belonged to Alan Bean?
And this emblem here, the LMP is over blue, and blue was his color on the space flight on Apollo 12, so his clothes and food and things were tagged in blue.
Alan Bean.
Alan Bean, and he was a lunar module pilot.
Bean was reunited with the car a few years ago and loves the care Danny Reed has given it. Highly documented, it has a very rare tank sticker with Alan Bean's name on it. Early on, Reed realized its potential value, but was moved by an even higher calling.
It was a piece of history to me.
Of the 3 astronauts from Apollo 12, Alan Bean became and remains a world-class artist, specializing in original works around the space program. Richard Gordon, command module pilot of Apollo 12, lives in retirement and turned 85 in October of 2014. Charles Pete Conrad died at age 69 from a freak motorcycle accident in 1999. And if you're wondering what happened to the other 2 Astrovets, well, Danny Reed has wondered too. For more than 40 years, they've never been found. He says they could be in barns somewhere or possibly overseas. But since there's no evidence they've ever been registered, it's likely they've been destroyed. Yeah, I know. I hate to think of it as well. Corvette Nation, presented by CR Coachworks, will return in just a moment.